Beautiful, isn't it? I always enjoy coming to Seville. So much history and culture preserved for us to enjoy and learn from. And you will, because today as Jamaica magazine unfolds, so too will our tour of this heritage and cultural site. You know what? I'm going to find a guide to help us with our tour. And in the meantime, while I do that, take a look at this important message. John can say, "Inna walk for Sunday, no walk for Sunday. Think I lie me tell, kill the maga cow. Think I lie me tell, kill the maga cow."
So everybody make we sign the line, celebration again, independent time.
For Independence 2015, the Randy Williams Entertainment Center is the place to be. From August 1 to 6, the Hope Road location will be transformed into an Independence Village. Come out every day at midday for lots of cultural fun and excitement. Lunch or concerts, cultural discussions, a kiddies village, displays with distinct Jamaican pieces, nightly entertainment, and food can done. For more information, call JCDC at 926-5726-9 or email library@jcdc.gov.jm. Independence 2015, proud and free Jamaica 53.
And all of these were actually found here at the property?
Yes.
Okay.
Some of them were donated from IOJ in Kingston.
Okay. Hi there. Oh, you're still with us? Good. I found someone to help us with our tour of Seville. Want to tell them who you are?
Hi, my name is Rodney. I'll be your tour guide. We'll be going through 7 rooms depicting 3 worlds: the Taino Indians, the Europeans, and the Africans.
Rodney, hold that thought. Please, I want to see those rooms. We have to send it back to studio for today's news, but we'll pick up the tour right after this. So it's interesting because I'm in this place for, an extended period of time.
Good day, I'm Carrie Ann Smith, and this is your JIS News for Friday, July 31. Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller has called on the international community to take a keener look at the link between peace, security, and development. She was giving a Caribbean perspective during the Special United Nations Open Debate on Peace and Security Challenges Facing Small Island Developing States at the UN headquarters in New York. The Prime Minister said the region required comprehensive debt relief and tangible development financing to advance its peace and security initiatives.
Stronger global partnerships and more efficient forms of cooperation are needed to help SIDS in the fight against the scourge of transnational organized crime.
A $20 million solar panel pilot project to generate 100 kilowatts of energy will soon see the National Indoor Sports Center cutting its energy bill.
The transformation of the Indoor Sports Center into a fully solar-powered facility will mean that all of us will be able to not only utilize it for sporting events, but for entertainment activities as well.
Energy Minister Philip Paulwell says the facility will also be licensed to sell any surplus energy to the national grid.
The sports center here will be generating revenues, and from that you'll be able to pay whatever bills you incur from JPSCO. Now, the aim is to make sure that your net is zero.
The project is being done through the newly formed National Energy Solutions Limited, NESOL. It's a rebranding and expansion of the Rural Electrification Program and is charged with designing and developing new energy solutions, minimizing electricity theft, and promoting renewable energy at commercial institutions. Another shipment of private motor vehicle license plates is expected early next week as Tax Administration Jamaica TAJ moves to alleviate the current shortage. TAJ says its larger tax offices got a shipment on Wednesday and distributed the plates mainly to its business customers. Private clients will be served from the coming shipment. Meanwhile, TAJ says its local supplier has ramped up production with plans to work through the weekend and overtime to supply the additional plates beginning next Monday. In the meantime, people who have their old license plates may choose to transfer those plates to register their new vehicles. The situation should be back to normal by mid-August. The National Water Commission, NWC, has been given the go-ahead to implement its early payment incentive late payment fee program. It's one of several initiatives announced recently by the NWC to reduce the amount of money it loses from non-revenue water distribution. Customers get $250 credited to their next month's bill if they pay early and in full. A $250 fee is applied for paying late. The Office of Utilities Regulation, which had instructed the NWC to halt the initiative on July 14, has completed its review and approved the program effective August 27. This gives customers 30 days notice before it is implemented. And finally, the health and the local government ministries are partnering to reproduce and distribute the special drum covers that have been developed to prevent the breeding of the Aedes aegypti mosquito. The covers are for use on 45 to 55-gallon drums. The health ministry says these drums are the main breeding habitat for the Aedes aegypti, which transmits the dengue, chickpea, and Zika viruses. The covers are made of mesh, allowing for the collection of water while creating a barrier to prevent mosquitoes from laying eggs in the containers. Parish councillors will be asked to engage community members in the reproduction of the covers. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Carrie-Ann Smith. Thanks for watching.
Okay, Rodney, I am ready for that tour right now. So, lead the way.
All right, come. Welcome. The Taino Indians, the first inhabitants of the island. They were here from 1500 years ago. Here we have a picture of what they looked like. Here was called Maima by the Indians, one of the 4 large Taino settlements here in the parish of St. Anne. Now, here we have some artifacts, hand axes, choppers and blades, the pestle stone used for pounding the corn and the cassava that they planted, an axe head, a scraper stone used in the making of a canoe, and a canoe was made from one entire tree, a tree which was called the silk cotton tree. Over here, we have some of the idols that they would worship, idols which were called zemis, and zemis were just representation of their gods. Some of their utensils, bowls used to prepare and to store food, while in the middle we have fragments of their cooking pot, and that was used to cook their favorite meal, the pepper pot soup. A part of their griddle that was used to bake their cassava breads on. That cassava bread is what we call the bami. Now the Spanish were the second inhabitants of the island. They arrived here back in 1494, May 5th to be exact. Some of the artifacts that they brought, and they were the ones who brought the iron to Jamaica. They brought it as weapons. The sugar mold, and that was used in the making of the sugar. And here we have a diagram of what that first sugar factory that was built here in Jamaica looked like. And we have ruins of that sugar factory on the other side of the property. They stayed here, building their homes until what they've created was the first Spanish capital of Jamaica. They even gave here a name. They called here Seville la Nueva, which meant New Seville. All right, these limestone carvings were unearthed back in 2004, buried 6 feet down. Baptismal font. What happened to the Indians while the Spanish had control of the island? Because the Spanish were here and introduced the encomienda system, that led to the almost extinction of the Taino population here in Jamaica. Africans were then brought to replace that workforce. And here we have pictures of how these Africans were carried from Africa to the Caribbean, shackled against each other, and a stock looking just like this, was placed over the right foot of each and every one of these Africans, with a pin going through that, anchoring it to the floorboard of the ship. Now the British, they came in 1655, battled against the Spanish, and the British won. Jamaica was now under British rule. As rewards for their victory, they were given the island to share amongst themselves. So the captains of the British Army all got a part of the island. The captain who got here, 3,000 acres of this land, his name was Captain Richard Hemmings, and he was the one who built this house that we're in. This house was built in the late 1600s and then rebuilt back in 1745. At first it was a two-floor house, built to overlook the entire property and also to reflect the wealth of the planter. But soon after the house was built, a hurricane passed through and damaged the top section of the house. His grandson came back in 1745, knocked off the top, added a roof to the bottom, and then placed that lovely veranda you saw outside onto the house, and that's how the house has been ever since. Some wares that you would have seen in a house like this. In this room on the board, we have the names of the enslaved Africans who were here on this estate. 274 of them, not counting those under 10. Now, even though some of these Africans were captured and brought here as slaves, they still brought their culture with them. Hence, the yaba. Made from clay, originated back in Africa, and the Africans would make it from the clay that was found here. The chamber pot, the candle holder, and the burnishing stones used to polish some of these pots. Here we have a picture of new enslaved Africans being seasoned, being taught how to work, tell them how to dig the field, how not to try to run away, because if you do so and you were caught, it would be punishment. The worst thing for you to do was to burn down any of their building. Punishment for that was death. Jamaica before and after 1838. The three-legged pot used to cook in, an axe for fallen trees, and over here, this little lamp is what we call the kitchen bitch. They would pour oil at the bottom, light the wick at the top, and that would provide the light. Now, back in 1983, some archaeologists came and they did some digs at the site where Africans lived. And at that site, they found 4 skeletal remains, 3 males and a female. From their bodies, these items were taken. A carver's knife, a kidney stone, buttons, those were taken from the 3 males, and a piece of crystal, which is a piece of a decanter stopper, that was taken from the female body. The enslaved Africans were freed in 1838, but they were freed with nothing, no land, no money. They still had to go back and work for these plantation owners, who were even reluctant to pay them. They were able to pay other persons to work for them, and those persons were the Indians and the Chinese who were brought in as indentured laborers. Jamaica was still under British rule until August 6, 1962, when they rose their own flag.
Rodney, thank you. That was absolutely amazing. You know, we've seen centuries of history encapsulated in these rooms, and I want to see more. But right now, I'm curious about one particular day, one particular moment in history.
At 3 occasions in Jamaica's history over the course of 6 years, this date was at the crossroads of major change. Change that has signaled a significant step in the movement towards freedom for Jamaica's enslaved ancestors. 182 years ago, another July 31 marked the final hours before the British Parliament passed the Emancipation Act, declaring an end to slavery, but not right then. The Emancipation Act would only take effect 1 year later, on August 1, 1834. It only freed children under age 6, while everyone else was relegated to the brutal system of apprenticeship. But before that harsh truth was played out for the enslaved peoples of Jamaica and other British colonies, they saw July 31, 1834 as the final hours of slavery, and there are accounts that many of the enslaved traveled to the hilltops so they could greet the sunrise and prepare to taste freedom. But another 4 years would pass before full freedom would really come. And again, but history says with more distrust this time, there are reports that many enslaved Jamaicans journeyed to the hilltops on another July 31 to greet the dawn of the end of slavery on August 1. It was 1838, and after years of struggle, full freedom had come at last. 177 years later, that vigil is remembered and reenacted in a national ceremony at Seville and in parish towns across the island, as Jamaicans once again prepare to celebrate the end of a centuries-long system of oppression.
As you just heard, the events of July 31, 1838 are recreated every year here at the Seville, and guess what? It happens on that lawn. So starting at about 8 o'clock tonight, there's going to be drumming and singing and even a dramatic reenactment of the reading of the Emancipation Proclamation. It's clearly going to get busy here in a little while, but in the meantime, let's continue the show with the story of one of the foremost leaders of Jamaica's journey to emancipation.
It was Christmas time in 1831, and Samuel Sharpe, an educated Creole slave and a deacon at the Burchell Baptist Church in Montego Bay, was fine-tuning the plans for the first sit-down labor strike in Jamaica. The plan was to have an all-island sit-down strike by slaves at the end of the 3-day Christmas holidays between December 25 and December 27. It was the ideal time, as the sugarcane crop would be ready for harvesting by then, and if it wasn't reaped quickly, the crop would spoil. Sam Sharpe believed that the planters would be compelled to negotiate freedom and salaries for the slaves returned to work. The plan of passive resistance didn't work. On December 27, the Kensington Estate Great House was set on fire. It was felt that several slaves, drunk from the lavish distribution of rum during the merry season, started the fires. The destruction and the terrible loss of lives on that day and ensuing months have gone down in the pages of history as the Christmas Rebellion. Sam Sharpe's freedom campaign never turned out the way he planned. He gave himself up to the authorities in a bid to end the slave killings and accepted responsibility for the rebellion, even though a number of actions were taken that did not meet with his approval. He was found guilty of inciting rebellion and administering unlawful oaths.
How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Some say it's just a part of it. We've got to fulfill the book.
I would rather die upon yonder gallows than live in slavery.
His tremendous courage was seen even to the point of death when he was hanged on the 23rd of May at the age of 31 years.
It doesn't matter that the whole of the legal system said it was okay, and that even some of the churches felt it was all right. As far as they were concerned, it was a violation of humanity and of the compact between man and God, and it had to end.
Daddy Sharpe, as his followers affectionately called him, is now seen as the predecessor of the trade union movement, as he fought for the labor rights of slaves. Sam Sharpe's life holds many valuable lessons for Jamaicans today. Although born in poverty, regarded as nothing more than an inanimate object by society, he taught himself to read, argued constructively, and presented himself always as a man of honor. This man of remarkable intellect, courage, and physical and moral authority succeeded in imparting his vision to more than 20,000 slaves in 5 parishes, instilling in them the desire to fight for the freedom so many of us enjoy today. It was his selflessness which propelled Sam Sharpe to hero status in 1975. Sam Sharpe, freedom fighter, martyr, national hero.
I feel like I'm walking through the past today. Let's continue the journey. Oh, Rodney, what's going on? You see those burial sites over there? I hear they have a very interesting story. Can we take a closer look? All right. So Rodney, tell us a little bit about I see 3 graves. I want to know who they are. Who are the 3 people buried over there?
All right, right here we have the Hoskins burial site, where the Hoskins family was of 4. They were the last known people to own this property as a private working estate.
Yeah, but we see only 3 grave sites, so we're the 4th person there.
Yes, after burying all 3, the youngest sister, she packed up and went back to England. So her spot is still there waiting.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the ones over there now.
Well, right here we have the remains of 3 African males that we found buried at the back of the Great House.
This Great House?
Yes, buried where the Africans were allowed to build their homes.
So they were actually in a dirt grave, or was it concrete like how we make the graves now?
Well, the grave that they were buried in was at the base of their home.
Oh, really?
Yes, it was a tradition to be buried in the flooring of your house. And back in 1983, we found 4 skeletal remains. We had 4 buried in there back in 1997, but 1 was taken out.
Why?
Well, the lady was chosen and sent back to Ghana, Africa, where she was reburied.
Wow, what an incredible story. So is this next feature. Take a look.
The film and the works that we will accept today will reawaken our awareness of the impact that ska has on even today.
Ska.
I first came up with the idea for this film in December of 2000 when I was a disc jockey up in Minneapolis, Minnesota on a radio station. And I was hosting a ska show, and I was starting to do phone interviews with some of the older original ska artists. And I just completed an interview with Derek Morgan, and it was fantastic. And I turned to the other DJ and I said, when is someone going to make a movie on the music that we love? And literally a light bulb went off.
It was the first music that opened the eyes of the world to Jamaican artists.
It's the people's music, people's expression. That's ska.
So I put together this big concert of all these old, tremendous musicians and singers, and I put on the Legends of Ska concerts in Toronto with an all-star Ska-Delight orchestra. Ska hasn't been appreciated as much outside, and sometimes it wasn't as appreciated as much, I think, here in different times.
You pick him up, you lick him down in bongs right back.
This is where it came from, and I'm just so honored and happy to be here now to give you here a set of master tapes to the Jamaican Music Museum, 100 tapes in all from that live concert, as well as all these interviews that we've conducted over the years with all these different artists.
And their contribution to our musical heritage has indeed been cemented in history through these tapes.
I'm happy for the contribution.
It's really a pleasure and it's really an honor to be passing it along and bringing everybody home.
Let me say thanks to you on behalf of the people of Jamaica and in general and the music lovers for your donation.
Most of them are rough cuts over the years, way beyond the time some of us have here. We'll have younger historians and researchers in here who will definitely be going through much of what we have been able to collect so far and make something of it.
We have a musical form about which we have to take seconds backseat to no other.
Entertainment has always been a source of refuge. And so therefore, this is simply in my mind a start of what is necessary to encourage Jamaicans to accept output of self.
Stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down. So everybody make we join the line, celebration again, independent time.
Yes, it's Emancipation and Independence time again. Between July 31 to August 6, lots of fun and exciting island-wide celebrations await you. Independence concerts, community church services, festival bandwagons, street dances, and lots more. And guess what? Festival fashion is back. The theme, bandana with denim, catch the fashion rhythm. So for this festival season, young, old, boy, girl, get your bandana and denim outfits and let's celebrate Jamaica in style. For more information, call JCDC at 926-5726-9 or email library@jcdc.gov.jm. Independence 2015, proud and free Jamaica 53.
Since we get free, pop style make the whole world see.
We're almost out of time, but we couldn't wrap things up without seeing this. Rodney, what am I looking at?
Well, what we have here, it's a replica of a Taino village, showing you just how the Indians would have their homes built. Built from thatch leaves for the roof and just sticks for the walls. If you realize, you can look straight to the house. And it was built that way to withstand hurricane.
So how many people could hold in one?
Roughly 6 or 7 persons sleeping in hammocks, because they were the ones who actually invented the hammock and they used it as their bed. And the houses, in fact, they were a bit wider and the roof even lower to the ground.
I find this house or hut, you call it a house, right? Very interesting. Tell me a little bit about it because it's different from the ones I've seen.
Yes. What we have here, it's a replica of an African house. What the Africans were allowed to build while they were living here on this estate.
Yes.
The wattle and daub house. Same thatch leaves for the roof, but the walls made from sticks, wattled in and then plastered with dung, clay and water. For the flooring, they would ballast that with stones and then cover that with clay. And as a tradition, if you were the owner of this house and you died, you'd be buried in that flooring.
So the inside of the walls are the same as the outside?
Yes.
And what can we find inside of this typical house where the Africans reside?
A small makeshift bed and a table.
Typical bed like what we sleep on now, or just a frame?
Not the fancy mattress like what we had, but just a bag filled with leaves, maybe banana trash, yes, for comfort.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Rodney. Thank you for the tour. It was absolutely amazing. And thank you for taking the journey with us. The magazine comes to you from another important site tomorrow. Until then, you can re-watch the show on our website or YouTube channel. And you can follow us on social media. Until next time, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Walk good.
I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright, bright.
has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.